From CNBC's Make It, earning $350,000 a year remotely from Mexico City. Let's give it a watch.
Mexico City is a great city for me because I really love global cities. The vibrancy, the culture, the people, the food, the warm weather. There's just so many things to love about it. I try to be very conscious about coming here not as a tourist. So when I came to Mexico City, I wanted to make sure that I was learning Spanish, that I was making local friends.
Yeah, I imagine the culture shock would be pretty significant if you come from the United States and you go to somewhere like Mexico City, but so many places in Mexico are beautiful. I have friends that have gone like on their honeymoons there, on vacations there, a lot of resorts there in Mexico City. It's a beautiful place. So I'm not surprised that someone living in the United States would want to go over there, and especially if you're making this much money, you take advantage of the lower cost of living and also the wonderful coastline and the beautiful city.
Pero más chico? Más chico no. No, solo este.
Mexico is home for me for the foreseeable future. My name is Derrick Morgan Jr. I'm 34 years old and live in Mexico.
It also looks like he's got a really great place there. I don't know where in the city he is, but these are some fancy buildings, and any place where you have your own deck out there and you got plants in the background. You got cameras up here too. That's a nice apartment he's got there.
Mexico City. I'm on track to make more than $350,000 a year in 2025.
That is so much. And not only is that a lot of money, but you have to imagine that like with the exchange rate, he's making way more than that equivalently. You pay him in US dollars and he transfers it to, I don't know, I guess pesos is what they have in Mexico. And he's got a lot of money. So he's doing very well for himself. Derrick is a lawyer who runs his own trademark-focused law firm. Okay, so this isn't exactly your everyday millionaire type. Derrick spends most of the year in Mexico City or traveling, but also calls Texas home.
I'm a full-service.
Oh, that's interesting that he calls Texas home, even though he lives in Mexico City. And he said earlier he references that it's home. So I guess maybe he's still a U.S. citizen, but he lives there. Maybe he has to go back every so often for like tax purposes.
Trademark attorney. So that could be anything from a trademark search, trademark prosecution, trademark representation, litigation, office action support. It's A to Z for trademark services.
Derrick has been practicing law since 2019, started his own firm in 2020. I wonder if practicing law means that's when he started law school. I guess I don't know that many specifics about law school. You got 4 years of undergrad, 4 years of graduate, then you take the bar exam. So maybe he's been doing this for about 6 years, but $350K after just 6 years of being out of school, that's pretty good.
5 years ago when I started, I was working by myself, working 17-hour days. Now my systems are a lot better. I have myself, my paralegal, and an AI assistant where everything is a lot more streamlined.
Oh, dude, lawyers have it rough. I think they have to bill. They have a number of hours they have to bill every year when you work in a private law firm. It's different if you're working the government. But yeah, I read about this on Reddit where someone was talking about how difficult it is to be a lawyer because you have to bill like so many thousands of hours every year. So if you take a vacation or something, you can take the time off, but that doesn't actually change the number of hours you have to bill. So you have to work extra hours to make up for it. And it's the whole system is just really brutal towards especially new people who are trying to get into it. There's no breaks to be had. You're working 12 to 15 hour days. It's a lot like being a financial manager on Wall Street. Just brutal, the hours, but at least you make a lot of money, so that's something. Derrick's role allows him to work fully remote, so he's able to travel often. That's the big benefit of working remote, is the fact that you get to travel. As long as I have my laptop with me, then I can be anywhere in the United States I want to be, assuming I'm set up for tax purposes. This might be a bit of a controversial opinion, but I've always thought that remote work could solve the housing crisis, because if everyone works remotely, then everyone can move wherever they want to, and then people don't have to live in like New York or California where it's super expensive to live. They can move to smaller, cheaper places. West Virginia, Kentucky, places like that. That's actually one of the reasons I moved to a smaller, cheaper town, is because once I worked remotely, I could work anywhere, so I could live somewhere where the rent's a lot lower.
I've always loved traveling. I've been to 60 countries so far. One thing about travel is just I really love to explore new cultures, new food, new people, and traveling for me has just always been something that I've loved. Mexico is my favorite country by far of the 60 that I've been to, which is also why I decided to move here.
How many countries are there? I feel like there's only like 195 or something. Yeah, there's 195 countries. This includes 193 members of the United Nations, with 2 non-members observed, the Vatican City and Palestine. That's interesting because 60 out of 190. I mean, he's gotten what, just under a third of the way through every country in the world, and he's only 34. He could, I mean, you know, political contentions aside, he could probably hit all of them in the next 10 years or so.
There's no requirements for me to be in the States. Trademark law is federal law, so it doesn't matter where you're licensed. As long as you have a U.S. license with the state bar, you can practice anywhere.
That's interesting. I didn't know that. So you can get your law degree, work in trademark law, and then move anywhere in the world. I wonder if there's a lot of people moving to like cheaper places. Like he did Mexico City, but I think of like really inexpensive but also safe countries like Malaysia, I think is one like that. Vietnam, you know, places like that where the US dollar goes really far because the currency's so powerful, and you get like great healthcare. It's a beautiful city, low crime rates, but then you can also take advantage of the fact that you have so much more purchasing power there. I know a lot of people retire to places like Vietnam because you can retire with pretty small amount, between 500,000 and $1 million, you know, small relative to what a lot of people need to retire with. And then you can go overseas and live just in total luxury for about half that. Derrick is on track to bring in around $350,000 this year. That's just crazy. Good for him.
Mexico City is about half the price of Chicago. It is affordable, but it's not cheap. So my expenses for...
I mean, still, Chicago is expensive, but it's not like when you think of Los Angeles expensive or New York City expensive. So to be half the price of Chicago is actually not that bad, especially when you're making $350,000. I mean, you're living pretty in Mexico City.
Rent here, it's around $2,000.
That's pretty good.
Apartment in Chicago would probably be around $4,000 to $5,000.
That's less than I pay.
I think of myself as a pretty frugal guy. I do like to splurge on food and eat out a lot. I think I spend around $1,500 to $2,000 a month eating out. While we're outside.
All right, let's look at this. Hotel property investment. So he owns a hotel, and of his total income of $19,420, he spends $14,500 of it. I'm a little skeptical. That seems like if the hotel goes under, or if we have another pandemic, or you know anything happens, he's losing a huge chunk of his money. But other than that, housing and utilities. Let's see here, $2,032. Pretty good. Food, $1,085. That's not bad actually for like groceries and eating out. I imagine he's, you know, it's a lot more over there than it is here in the United States, but you know, that's probably not much more than I spend. Student loan repayment, $1,000. When you're making this much money, man, especially with all the things going on with the student loans and the Department of Education, probably just be easier to pay those off and just be done with it, because it's gonna get complicated. Discretionary, $577, not too bad. Transportation, $173. That's really cheap. I imagine he doesn't own a car and he just takes public transport everywhere. Life insurance, $44. That's great. Subscriptions and members, only $29. Let's see, Netflix, Spotify, and Apple. Why does he have Spotify and Apple? Maybe it's Spotify and Apple TV. Yeah, you gotta watch Severance though. Great show.
Food, I try to keep a lot of my expenses low, but as a business owner, I am able to offset some of my costs.
Try to save $12,000 each month from his earnings.
Every month, I try to put the $12,000 to my solo 401k, my backdoor Roth, or any.
Every month, solo 401k, $12,000. I don't think you can contribute $12,000 a month. I think solo 401ks have a limit of like $23,000. Let me fact check myself here. All right, I lied. For 2025, your contribution limit for the solo 401k is $70,000 a year for those under 50. Although 12,000 times 12 in a year, 3 zeros, that's 144,000. So he's contributing more than he's allowed to. I mean, I assume he probably knows that. He seems like a smart guy, but that might be something to look into.
Any retirement accounts that I might have, but I also put money into my brokerage account because I am trying to retire early, and I will need access to that earlier on.
Dude, putting away $12,000 a month, he will be able to, I mean, probably 20 years tops, he can be totally retired. Also, if he's making $350,000 and saving just $12,000 of that per month, I bet he could do more, especially when you looked at his budget earlier and he was spending like $14,500 on his hotel investment. I bet he could almost double that and sell the hotel, double that, and then he's good to go. He recently paused investing to focus his earnings on a boutique hell project in Mexico. Oh, okay, so that's what...
so due to market uncertainty, I do invest in real estate because I don't like all of my investments to be tied to the U.S. stock market.
That's not entirely a bad idea. The U.S. stock market is pretty good. I understand we've had some volatility recently, but if we just look at the S&P 500, pull it up here, and if we look at like the max, yeah, we've had a lot of downs, you know, here during the COVID, and then we had the sorry, that was COVID. This was the high inflation. This was the housing crash. But if you look at it on an average, we've been, 740%. We've been doing pretty well over the last, what is this showing, 30 years or so. So I understand not wanting to have it in the U.S. market for, short-term volatility, but overall, you're probably going to be just fine. The U.S. market, despite current administration stuff, is actually still really strong. Best in the world, actually.
I did read The Richest Man in Babylon, and one of the main principles from that book is to pay yourself first. So I ensure that I am investing as much as possible early on, because as a business owner, you're not sure how long your business will thrive. So I want to ensure that I do have investments to last me as long as possible.
That's such a good idea. I mean, anything could dry up tomorrow. You got to think about like the Minecraft YouTubers of the early YouTube days, where they were cranking out videos and everyone was doing outstanding on the platform. And then overnight, YouTube just changed their algorithm like that, and they all crashed and burned. You got to imagine that the same thing could happen here. What if the trademark laws change tomorrow or next week, and then his business is just done? So it's absolutely an outstanding idea that he's investing a bunch of money away now while the getting's good, just in case something happens later. That's very smart.
When I started investing, I was interested in cryptocurrency, but it's not something I try to invest in every month. I did get lucky and invested in Bitcoin, and now I have about $125,000 in cryptocurrency.
That's like one Bitcoin now. I think it hit like 120K recently. During the COVID-19 pandemic, Derrick sought ways to earn extra money with his law background. He did the pandemic side hustle. Everyone was doing this. Everyone was stuck home. Everyone was remote. So you had nothing else to do. So you may as well start a side hustle.
Focused on intellectual property, and the law firm that I was working for in Indianapolis, I was actually not doing any intellectual property work. However, since I was working on a contingency at the law firm and the court shut down due to COVID, I needed a way to make more money.
Derrick began offering trademark services on the freelance platform Fiverr. This is a really good lesson for anyone who's looking to start their own thing. Find something that you're already good at, and then just do that for people that are willing to pay for it in small quantities. So if you're good at running ads on Google, for example, then do that for people. If you're good at, you're already a lawyer, so you may as well offer those services. It's weird when people try and do something that they're not already good at. So you see people saying like, oh, just go door to door and offer to mow lawns. But if you've never mowed lawns before, never done lawn care before, then you're not going to know how to do that. So whatever you're already good at, go ahead and try and do that for more people and make more money.
At first, I initially was doing contract review and some trademark law. However, after maybe a few months on the platform, the trademark law really took off.
Derrick typically charges between $600 and $800 for services, and that's pretty good because trademark law does not take very long. I know my wife, when she had to have a contract reviewed by a lawyer, it just took a few hours, and it was like $250, which wasn't much. It was important that the contract get looked over, but the lawyer probably spent an hour, 2 hours looking over that. $250 for an hour of work. I mean, you're sitting pretty with that. So this $600, $800, that seems right in line. Good for him.
So I was working for myself on the side for about 5 months. And I want to say the first month I made about $5,000 just doing freelance services. So gradually, my income picked up from $5,000 that first month. And then around that 6th month, it was around $10,000. And the whole time I'm thinking, maybe this is sustainable. Maybe I can just do this instead of doing anything else working for the law firm that I was at. And around the 1-year mark, I was fully self-employed.
Probably what he's not even telling you there is that, one, I imagine he has to be very good at it. He had a lot of repeat customers, a lot of good word of mouth, good reviews on Fiverr. So he was working really hard. Also, if he was doing this in addition to already being a lawyer, I mean, as a lawyer, you already do 10 to 14 hour days. So you're doing your 12-hour shift and then you come home and do more of this. I mean, that's some serious dedication. So, I mean, kudos to him. He's making a lot of money, but he's also, he's really earned it. Derrick continues to source clients from Fiverr. Oh, that's interesting. So he's still using Fiverr as like a way to get his clients. And then I assume he then upsells them on his personal service so that Fiverr doesn't take their 15 or 20% or whatever.
A lot of these prospective clients, they're first-time business owners, they're brand owners, they're entrepreneurs, they're creatives. They've never dealt with, a big fancy attorney who's going to be charging them hundreds of dollars to really just confuse them. I try to be as approachable as possible to meet my clients where they are and make this process as smooth as possible.
It's kind of you're selling the shovels to people that are going for the gold rush. Like, he's not trying to start his own online type business. He is helping other people start their businesses. So instead of going for whatever's big right now, like, drop shipping or something, he's selling those services to other people that might be doing drop shipping or just, other things. Derrick follows the FIRE movement. He plans on retiring by the age of 45. He's well on his way. 11 years of that $12,000 a month. That's pretty good. We can actually probably retirement calculator. See if we can guess what it is. So he's currently 34. And then, well, what do we think he has? His earnings are 350. 1, 2, 3. His current savings, current retiring savings. He said that he put a lot away. Didn't give us a specific amount. We'll give him 200,000. That sounds about right. And then he's contributing 12,000 a month, something like that. So yeah, he's gonna, by the age of 67, he'll have some $20 million. But if we look at the age of 45, he'll probably have $2 to $3.5 million. That's definitely, especially in Mexico City with it when it's much cheaper, and if you own your own property, then that's definitely doable for retiring and then living off that the rest of his life, because that money will continue to make money. Roughly every 7 or 8 years it'll double. So as long as he's not living well above his means, he should be fine with that.
I think of money kind of as a tool. My goal isn't necessarily to just be rich or anything like that. My goal is just to have options. It's more so about having the option and the freedom to do what I want, with whom I want, when I want, and where I want, and doing very little of what I dislike. So I don't want to work all of my life, which is why I am very focused on financial independence and retiring early.
I think that's what most people want with money. I don't think a lot of people want, super yachts and private jets and, $1 million champagne bottles. Most people just want to feel like nobody else owns them, that if they lost their job tomorrow, they wouldn't be in a panic because they can't pay their bills and the bank's coming after their mortgage. I think most of them just want to have a life they enjoy, doing what they're passionate about without the fear that it could all come down around them. He also thinks Mexico City could be his permanent home. I mean, for how well he's doing there, how much he's making and how cheap it is.
Yeah, for me, because I really love global cities. The vibrancy, the culture, the people, the food, the warm weather. There's just so many things to love about it. I certainly could live in Mexico City year.
It also looks walkable. Man, if we had walkable cities in the United States, I would, what I would give for a walkable city.
The reason I don't is just because of rainy season, but Mexico is...
The rainy season comment is real. I used to live in India for a few years. We called it the monsoon season, about 2 or 3 months in the summer. Torrential downpours all day, every day for weeks at a time.
It's home for me for the foreseeable future.
Oh, well, that was Derrick, who's earning $350,000 a year in Mexico City. That was pretty cool, though, learning about him. If you liked the video, give it a like, and if you want to see more, I'd love a subscription. I'll see you later.